Welcome to the Kate Molland channel. My podcast is now in progress. Let's tune in.
I know a family that lives in Fremont, California. Well, they did live in Fremont, California. The guy was an airline mechanic. The girl worked at the church. And, of course, you know, they had a boy and a girl. Everything was going well for them. The schools were fine. The housing was fine. And then all of a sudden, he got this idea of moving to Arizona. He was going to be an airline mechanic in Arizona.
Okay.
He was going to transfer his family out to Arizona. Cost of living would be much cheaper than it is in Fremont, California, up there in Silicon Valley. So the wife decided to move, get the house. The boy refused to move to Arizona. He says, I'm not leaving all my friends. I'm going to just stay with some friends of mine. So the family starts to now get busted up.
Oh, goodness.
The girl gets pregnant. And so she is now going to marry the guy who knocked her up. And his family's got money, so she's going to be taken care of. All right, that's another story. So now the wife says, okay, well, I'm going to go out to Arizona and set up. The husband is now getting things in order to make the transfer to Arizona. But now, all of a sudden, he doesn't want to move to Arizona. He just changes his mind because he just feels as though there's going to be a culture clash of some sort.
Okay.
Because he feels there's going to be some kind of a culture clash, he doesn't feel as though he wants to move now. His wife is talking about how things are so different in Arizona. He goes to Arizona. He's not acclimating well to it. So he goes, you know what? We already sold the house. We bought this house. We're going to sell this house. We're going to go back to Fremont and buy a house because everybody wants to stay in Fremont. So they go back to Fremont and realize they cannot afford a house.
Yep.
So now they're renting.
That's conventional.
They're renting a house now. So again, sometimes moving is not the answer. Sometimes just chasing the low prices are not the answer. Like I even have friends personally that have moved to North Carolina and they say they hate every minute of living there. They say the culture is different. They don't have the restaurants. They don't have the melting pot that they were used to living in, and everything's barbecue. They can't find an Indian restaurant. They can't find a Thai restaurant.
Yeah, it lacks diversity of cuisine for sure.
They can't find an Ethiopian restaurant, and so now they're just stuck on barbecue food and the woods.
Yeah.
And they're saying, so now they're not really happy. So sometimes you may forfeit happiness chasing low prices.
That's fair.
And then if you stay where you are, where you really can't afford, then the wife may be forced to work.
Yeah, right, but, where do we come into trying to find other streams of income in order for the wife and the mother to not be back in the workforce? Because then you're paying for nannies, or you're paying for babysitters, or you're paying for extra help, you're paying for daycare. There's other expenses.
Now, my question is this. How is it that other people don't seem to be affected by any of this? I mean, like, there are men that I know that are not affected by any of this. And they can take the girl of their dreams. They don't have a problem. They can carry all the bills themselves. And a lot of these people are just rags to riches stories.
Okay.
They've just sunk their teeth in something that they believe in, and they're marketing it, and it's working, whatever that product may be. Because you can name the product. Somebody's making a lot of money on it, or somebody's losing a lot of money on it. There is no one thing that's bringing in all the money. Otherwise, you wouldn't have Nordstrom's, you wouldn't have Sprouts, you wouldn't have Panera's, you wouldn't have Kohl's. Everybody has found something that's making money for them. Like, the Dollar Tree is doing well, 99-cent store is going out, So it just seems like no matter what it is, there's something out there that can save people. I don't know what would save them. I know what's saving me, but I don't know what would save other people.
Right.
So that's why I'm just wondering whether or not anybody has the answers in terms of what a high-value man can bring to the table, because a high-value man can turn into a Dusty. A Dusty can turn into a high-value man. So I think that relationships are high risk, no matter how you look at it, because when people get married, I believe that they get married to spend the rest of their lives with the person that they believe that they're in love with. But then when you look at the long haul, most marriages don't make it. The vast majority don't make it. As a matter of fact, those that make the 50 to 60 year mark, you're down to like 4%. You're down to 4%. So with those stats, you got 96% chance of failure anyway. And you say to yourself, well, then why get married? Well, you get married because you want to give it a go. You want to say, why don't I throw my hat into the mix and let me see if I can pull this thing off? I mean,
goodness.
There are a lot of benefits for older people to get married because you do live longer, whether you're an apartment renter, whether you're living in a senior center or senior housing, or whether you're a homeowner. You know, that bonding with that other person.
I kind of feel, though, that we're losing track just as society has progressed over time. We're not seeing people marry in their early 20s or late teens as much anymore. So to have a 50 or 60 year long marriage is really off the table when people are getting married in their 30s, late 30s, early 40s.
Still puts you in your 80s, though. People are making it to their 80s, 70s.
Okay,
80s,
so that's maybe a 40-year marriage.
Okay, so let's bring the numbers down. Let's bring it down to 25 years. All right,
Okay.
25 years. Okay, if you bring it down to 25 years, you're looking at about 60% aren't making it anyway.